Good day everyone, thank you for coming to the channel. Today I would like to showcase another variation of a Frenzy Barbarian. And this is, there are pros and cons. There's stuff I like about my number one Frenzy Barbarian build. I didn't mean number one is the best, but my first. But this one has its attraction as well. So let me show you my items and my gears. So my weapon is a Grief Colossus blade, and it's made out of an enhanced damage and maximum durability base. Now, it's different than my other build. Actually, this is just a small tweak from my number one Frenzy Barbarian variation. I still have the gears in here as well. And the main thing I changed was the weapon. So Face Blade is the fastest base, and if you change to Colossus Blade, of course, the speed's gonna suffer. And this is also in the lowest increased attack speed roll, but with the highest damage. I made this myself, and at the time when I was making it, because of the fact that I'm using a Fanaticism Faith mercenary, as you may see, 30 increased attack speed would have been fine too. So that's why, when I rolled this and I got the max damage, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep this. And also, a lot of people don't like having the dual ability, but I don't mind because I'm gonna use a rune to repair my weapon. And for my armor, it's Enigma out of a Balok skin. My offhand is a Death Colossus blade, so this is same as my number one Frenzy Barbarian build. Same for the helm. I'm using Arya with 9 strength and increased resistance jewel, so all res jewel. High Lord, Gore, Raven here, and this is a Life Leech strength and all res ring. This build kind of overall generally needs that Life Leech, since you'll be in the middle of everything, whacking stuff. And on my original build, I was using the Nod Coil, which gave me strength and increased attack speed. And I needed the attack speed to hit the breakpoint. But since I'm using Fanaticism, I don't need that. So I could have gone with Dongo too, but I opt to go with the String of Ears with the damage reduction and Life Leech. And Glove is laying of hands, just random. And on offhand, I'm using Double Hodo for a skill as well as the faster cast rate. Now for the strength, so pretty much I put majority of it in it. So I put enough into Dex so that I can wield Colossus Blade, and I put enough into Vid so that once I bow, I'll be sitting at around 3000, and then the rest I dumped into strength. And for the talents, it's pretty cookie cutter Frenzy, nothing special. Max out Frenzy, max out Double Swing, and 1 into Berserk because it's a 1-point wonder. Whatever your weapon type may be, in my case is a sword. 1-1, because these are, this is just a must. Now I didn't put any into here because I wanted to put a 2-point onto here with the bow. So first you gotta master taunt, because that's the synergy to Frenzy. And then you 1 point all the way down to Pad of Command, and then you just max out Battle Order's bow. And for my mercenary, I'm using a Faith, and I always just try to get the 15 Fanaticism. That's one thing that I care the most. And I'm using Enigma. I could have used other armors. There are information on Google where it tells you what other combination of items and stuff would be viable. But for me, Fanaticism is a must. And the only thing that I'm looking for out of Enigma here is a faster run walk. This is what the Koreans do. So, and for the Life Leech, I have Andy Helm with attack speed and fire resist jewel. So let me go ahead and show you the playstyle. I have a cow room here. I'll do a Diablo and Bale. So I bow and I go, and the biggest difference is that you don't have to do the e-bugging on the weapon. Like, as you may know, on my other video, I talked about how you gotta put the phase blade on the left hand side, and then you gotta lift the main weapon up and down once every time, like, it resets. So usually, items would reset every time you switch, because the game will double check again to see if you have strength and all these other requirements. Do you meet those requirements in order to wield certain items? And when it does all that checking every time you swap, the weapon gets affected too. So, one thing that I didn't like with the phase blade style is that I would have to go ahead and swap bow buff, and after I come back, I always had to manually redo my weapon so that my phase blade would be on the main side. Hence, I'll be taking advantage of the e-bugging. It's the speed e-bug, right? Now, on this one, you don't have to do that, because with Fanaticism, just normal setup, you max it out and you're done. So every time I teleport, I can just hodo, just swap, teleport, and once I come back, I just start attacking. I don't have to like swap back and forth. So to me, that is a huge attraction. I don't know what you would think about it. Everybody flows differently. So, there's no right and wrong. Whatever makes you feel like more comfortable. Whatever is more fun for you. And that would be another reason why I'm using, Grief Colossus blade and, filming this. Because, like, I kind of mentioned this on my other video too. When I'm wielding a phase blade and then a Colossus sword on my offhand, obviously the graphics, the look doesn't match. Whereas look at me right now, right? I'm wielding two similar weapon type, Colossus blade and Colossus sword. So it's pretty much the same. And as a result, like, my character looks just so much better. Like, on damage wise, I kind of tried to calculate it. I was like, is this better damage than, phase blade? Because, I mean, Colossus blade does have a higher, damage, right? Whereas phase blades is lower. So am I like hitting harder? But I mean, I would assume I am. But just when you're using Grief, the 400 plus damage doesn't show. So I don't know, like, maybe like there's an easy way to calculate, but for me, like, it's always a little bit like kind of weird. But I would assume Colossus blade should be doing more damage. But feeling wise, when I'm using both, when I'm using phase blade or Colossus blade, like, do you feel a huge difference in how fast you can kill? And the answer is no. Like, both are just as fine. But for me specifically, like, it's just the graphics. I don't like my character wielding phase blade and Colossus sword. That's all. So, I mentioned this many times in my videos, like, if they had transmog in Diablo 2, that would solve, like, I mean, that would really revolutionize the game, I think. Like, and I don't know how possible would that be. I mean, would Diablo, would Blizzard have to do like some major like recoding? I mean, the graphics are all there in the game and whatnot, so I don't know. But that's one of my like top wish lists when it comes to Resurrected. I really wish they would give us, transmog ability, just like in Diablo 3 or World of Warcraft. I mean, if so, hell, it's like, I'll just equip myself with all the best of the best that I can get and don't care about the graphics, and then just transmog it and just make it into a graphic that I would enjoy. I'll just do that, number one, but unfortunately we don't have that. So like, I guess my my assassin, my Natalia set assassin is a perfect example. I like using the set because of the look, but if you look at the efficiency wise, it's not the most efficient. Like I mentioned there too, where I did have an item set where it was optimized for the build, because Natalia said Phoenix Strike Assassin is just all plus skill. You just need plus skill. But Natalia said, as you know, doesn't provide plus skill from every single slot. Only when you have a full item or partial item, it will give you like this and that. The chest gives you plus shadow, not even all skill, so you know, it's not the most ideal. But you know, I'm using it because I just want the graphics, the set graphics. And so, you know, if not, yeah, I'll just put on probably like, you know, Chain of Honor. Actually, it would be like much better for your armor. And you know, other slots too, right? And then I'll just transmog myself and make myself look like the one with the Natalia set. Anyways, I'll stop bitching about it. Well, I'll try to, but maybe not. Because yeah, in this case too, you know, like for me, I guess performance and utility wise, Faceblade is more preferable. And that brings it to me a third reason. In Colossus Blade, you gotta repair. And again, like, you know, a lot of people don't like having dual ability because the repeal build is so high. Ooh, Superior Shuwaya. Oh, it did have something, but not that good for me. So, you know, I would have to repair. And I'm gonna use an Ort Rune to repair my weapons, or at least my Colossus Blade. So in Faceblade, you never have to do that. So that's a convenience on a Faceblade. So, and another thing that is of a difference is that with Colossus Blade and Fanaticism, when you put it in the calculator, it will show you that with 15 Fanaticism and about 35 Frenzy, like, you max out 5 frames per second. But one thing to keep in mind is that Frenzy is like additive, a cumulative skill. So if you see too, successful hit increases. And what I'm trying to say is that, like, although the calculator may say that, I notice like the speed isn't like that. So here, so when you're at maxed out speed, like right now, maxed out Frenzy, yes, I'm at 5 frames per second. I'm fastest with Fanaticism. That is correct. But there's a build-up time to that. Because, you know, so if I don't have any, you know, let me just chill and lose the buff. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna just bow to make sure. So I don't have it anymore, right? So when I start swinging right now, I'm not swinging at 5. Just those initial build-up, I'll be swinging at 6. But then, you know, as soon as you land and then you get the speed buff, right, then it will build up and you're like boom, 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 and then 5 frames per second. But it is a small thing, but I mean, it is a pretty pivotal thing to me. So when you have a Faceblade on, you'll be hitting at 5 frames per second like all the time. So anyways, that was my cow. So that's another advantage that I felt, you know, having a Faceblade. Like, the inconvenience was that I had to do the speed bugging thing all the time, but I don't have to repair. And speed wise too, the weapon swinging speed wise, I know that, like, even without the build up, I'll be swinging at 5 frames. So, you know, I figure, oh, you know, that's also kind of helpful. And but, you know, damage wise, you know, here, let's go back to town. Let me look at something. So this is 35 to 40 one-hand damage, right? So this is 27 to 72 one-handed damage. So the minimum actually is higher here. But of course, the maximum is higher here on the Colossus Blade. Then the question is, like, I mean, if min-max were both clearly higher than Faceblade, then one could say, on damage-wise, Colossus Blade is clearly more and there's no competition there. But if it's mixed like that, if the min is higher on Faceblade, actually, then it does have merit still in using it. Because, you know, maximum is like kind of like chance-based, right? Like, every time you do damage, like, it could be either from here to here. So if minimum is higher, it is guaranteed that actually you do more higher minimum damage. And, you know, so I mean, okay, so if the maximum is higher, then, so I don't know. Yeah, you have potential to do more damage, but how often is that? To be honest, I don't know. And when I look at damage too, I do always look at maximum more than minimum. But Is it clear to say Colossus Blade is more damage? I think if you take like an average damage of a weapon calculation style, yes it is. Colossus Blade is more worth it. But you see, like when you like line up these pros and cons, like in my personal preference, is it a clear win on a Phase Blade? For me, answer is no, it's not. I like its functionality, such as I don't have to repair, and it's fast, that I don't have to build up on my frenzy to be at 5 frames. And I guess what I just mentioned here too, but I don't like the graphics. That's a huge reason. And I mean, I don't know what you guys think about, but look at it. Does this look more consistent and coherent than Phase Blade and a Colossus Blade or Colossus Sword? To me it is. Like, this looks much better. The aesthetic pleasure, not anesthetic, the aesthetic pleasure that I get from looking at this versus the one with the Phase Blade is great. However, other questions that are brought in here is that, as you see, my mercenary is different. I have to use an Act 1 mercenary for Fanaticism. Now the Fanaticism Aura itself is nice, gives me damage, gives me attack rating, and since I can teleport, I can always keep my mercenary close with me so that I have the buff with me at all times. But I don't have Act 2 mercenary. Now, is that big enough? I mean, what do you guys think? So what does Act 2 mercenary give you? Act 2 will give you might and Reaper's Toll. And the mercenary himself is a pretty decent damage dealer. He can take, he can stand on his own. He can hold his ground. Act 1 mercenary, can she really kill stuff? I don't know, my impression with the Act 1 mercenary is not. Act 1 mercenary is usually just a utility. Like, the kill ability is much less than any other mercenary that you can get. So in that sense then, like, how does the mercenary compare? Yeah, I swap back and forth between the two different styles like so many times. I definitely literally respect like 100 times minimum between the two. Oh, okay, but Act 1 does that, the Amazon effect, the insight, I believe that reduces enemies' defense. So, okay, that is a small helper. Does that override the Might aura? As well as Reaper's Toll? I don't know, does it? So it's a lot of price to pay. So it's like, so for me, like, I want the graphics. I want to look like this. A Barbarian wielding 2 sword graphics like this. Because it looks good. I like it. Then, in order to do so, the price that I'm paying for it, I'm using Act 2 Mercenary for Fanaticism. Like, in the utility base, I'm losing those utilities that I personally enjoy, functionality with Phase Blade. So, yeah. Ooh, he dropped a lot of different stuff. So it begs a question, is it really worth all that, For me, to a certain extent, yes. That's why I keep talking about transmog. Because I wish there was transmog in Diablo 2. So anyways, I put an alt rune in here, which is this one. Yeah, this one is not that hard to find. Like, this is like lying on the ground all the time. And also on your bot, if you just mention it on the script, your bot will pick it up like so quickly. So anyways, yeah. So this versus this. No repair, fast, repairable, with graphics I like, and it's more damage, supposedly. And this, I'm using the 10 attack speed instead now. I have the 15% damage reduction. It's like, which one is worth it more, Which one? I think ultimately it would lie on individual preference. Mainly. Of course, other factors that I mentioned will be in play, I believe, but in the end, it's just whatever you want to do, Like, that's like the most thing. If a lot of things worked out as they were supposed to in the most efficient manner throughout human history, yeah, we wouldn't be here at all. Like if, you know, Thomas Edison wasn't so jealous at Tesla about, you know, electricity and everything. I mean, if Thomas Edison and Tesla maybe helped each other to, you know, develop technology at the time, instead of this battle that they had, or at least Thomas Edison had with this copyright battle, just, you know, blocking every single thing Tesla can do, then the whole human history would have been different. But, you know, it didn't happen. Why? Because emotion, you know, just personal preference. Thomas Edison was a fucking dick, unlike what a lot of other people believe, but he was a dick. Read up on this guy. Look him up. Even on Wikipedia, you can see how dick he was. And he was not a scientist. He was not anybody who invented anything. He was a copyright master. He just copyrighted everything. Just like, you know, Isaac Newton was. I'm sorry, not Isaac Newton, but Edison. No, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Edison. Einstein. Yeah, Albert Einstein. Why do I keep like mixing up? I'm sorry. But yeah, this might offend some people, but from what I have read on Albert Einstein, he might be one of the biggest crooks in the world. He might. I'll just leave it at that. But it is true. Albert Einstein, he worked at copyright office. He was a copyright clerk. He stamped on these papers of these inventions from all over, you know, all over the United States. These geniuses, you know, who would want to protect their intellectual property. So they're submitting their paperwork to copyright stuff. And Einstein is the receiving clerk. He's the one who gets those papers first. And he gets to take a look at it. I'm not totally accusing that he is or anything, but there have been many counter-arguments produced about Albert Einstein. And that a lot of things he said actually wasn't his. For example, math knowledge as well. From what I had watched and read on some of the stuff, Albert Einstein wasn't that good at math. But his wife was. His wife was genius. And after they divorced or something, like how the paperwork was and some of the evidence left about how it was dealt with suggests that Albert Einstein owes her a lot of money. And he promised her that. And he promised her to, he asked her to shut up about everything and don't say it so he can take the credit for it. While in reality, all the math genius that Albert Einstein did actually could have been from his just wife. It wasn't him. I'm sorry, I digressed, and it could have been a little offensive to some people, but all in all, Thomas Edison though, well, this may offend some of you too, but he was a dick. He was a total fucking dick, no doubt, in my mind. If he had teamed up with Tesla and, advanced the technology for the good of humankind, instead of this personal, vendetta against Tesla from Edison, the whole world would have had very different, history. We have the car company Tesla, right? Obviously, what is it based on? It's based on, Tesla, Nikola Tesla, one of the crazy scientists who, from what I have studied, seems to have been a genius scientist. UFO discussion, Tesla is, brought on there too. Electricity discussion. Basically, Tesla discovered the digital electricity, which we partially use today. We use both analog and digital today. But Thomas Edison's electricity was analog electricity, so it couldn't go too far. Whereas Tesla's electricity, was basically digital. It could go far. But I'm not an expert in all the detail, but I have done some research and study on it. And my conclusion, Thomas Edison's a dick. Nikola Tesla was a genius. It's a shame that mankind didn't advance while, Nikola Tesla was alive. And basically, Thomas Edison did everything in his power. And at this point, it's Thomas Edison's got end of his life kind of time. But he was rich. He had all the money in the world. Look at it, right? The Edison family today. Southern California electricity. It's Edison. It's all based on him. Ooh. What the? Okay, I'm gonna pick that up and pick this up too. What is this? Unique matriarchal bow? I never knew that there was a unique for that. I still learned something. Okay, let me identify that too. Oh, I'm kind of interested. So anyways, let me ID that. Ooh. Oh, Blood Raven's charge. Is this worth anything? Doesn't look like it. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't need it at least. Okay, so let me continue on as I, bash on Thomas Edison. Okay, don't die, mercenary. I don't have gold. Don't die. Let me pick some gold. Let's see, I think that should be everything. So yeah, if only humankind acted upon reason and logic, we would be in much advanced society than we are now. That's my belief. So the last wave is coming. You know what? I'm just gonna go heal for her. I don't want her to die. See, I don't have gold too. Look at that. I only have this much. So if she dies once, okay, I can get her back, but not twice. So overall, like for me, I wish there was transmog. I like this look. I just can't get away from this look. But I guess performance-wise, obviously this overall, I would say it's lacking than Faceplate. Because, Faceplate I don't have to repair, it's fast enough, and all those perks that I get. But it's just, just doesn't have the graphics. I don't like myself wielding Faceblade and a Colossus sword. This looks much better. This looks hotter. Look at that. Yeah, Barbarian, it's gotta look like that. But anyways, let me hold my right click down on Bale and see how fast. Yeah, Bale does all these other, things and teleports around, so kill speed can sometimes be misleading. But let me see if I can get him locked in. I just need a Fanaticism mercenary, just he can be anywhere. So if I can get him locked into a place, still not bad. And my attack rating is 73%, so it's not too high. Maybe I could, invest more into Dex, and then maybe get this higher too. So yeah, overall that was the build. And again, I just wish I can transmog and use a Faceblade. That's my conclusion, but still, the reality is that I can't. So, I wanted to just kind of run this style as well and show you guys how it's like. Overall, killing wise and performance is still good, no difference, but I like to get that might aura from my, at the Reaper's Toll mercenary too. So, anyways, hopefully that was informational. And yeah, please give it a try. Like I showed you, just a small tweak on change on items. You have to change other things like the mercenary in this case, right? But still, there's I think, endless combinations that you can do. So, if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much and have a good one.